And now I'm going to ask the moderator, because part of this is to have a surprise, and it was two surprises. One of them was to choose the next province for the next TrigAR. I think this is very positive for the articulation of public, private. And I'd like to invite Jerónimo Watson, who will coordinate and moderate the panel.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Don't worry, we only have 50 questions for each one of you, and that's it. We'll be finished. Honestly, it's an honor for me to coordinate this panel and to talk about innovation and sustainable innovation. But continuing with the aggressive dynamic of the agenda, we're going to talk about sustainable practices and ask Sergio Busso what else he can tell us about this program, Good Practices program that you showed us in the video. Well, thank you.
To just express a few words about the images we just saw. This program we started in Córdoba in a very adverse climate change. We know that the national government had defined macroeconomic policies that set the rules to be able to produce. This provinces had to try to have a vision, a particular vision, to take care of natural resources. So the Good Practices program is something we all agreed, but from the part of the state, it was difficult to put it as part of the agenda. So we had to work with the private sector. We had over 50 companies, unions that are also here with us, and other companies related to, research institutes, INTA, which was a strategic partner, and, all of the players of the chain that made these public policies true. So now it is a state policy. It is here to stay, and it will become a law soon, and that will push it. Will give a very different. Give us a different perspective for the future. This program, Good Practices program, aims at achieving sustainability goals. As the nation, we agreed to do that, and provinces should follow the same path. And that's why you'll see that this program has an important allocation of resources, a deep look into training, for example, with the organizers of this Congress, the grain exchange of Córdoba. We have put together a program that has to do with social responsibility. It's called Indicagro, and that is also considered a good practice. And then crop rotation and soil conservation and prosperity, and that is also connected to improving production. And there are other issues that we explored. For example, last year we were able to recognize those farmers to take insurance. We all know that our production needs to surpass historical tools that are not enough in the event of droughts or floods. And this year, as a result of a decision taken by this government, is to recognize those farmers that contribute or make contributions in terms of technology. And I think this is good because this program is not only it's not only for Córdoba, because León and Manuel and other provinces have already joined it with different things, or they're replicating it in other provinces. But we need this culture shift. We need to produce and preserve resources. Thank you, Sergio. Please tell us about the initiatives or the provinces in Santa Fe to boost sustainable practices and those initiatives that have to do with the topics of this Congress to boost the whole chain, wheat chain. Well, that's a broad question. First of all, thank you. The Ministry of Production cannot come with us, but would like to tell Sergio here that his team has made significant contributions. As you were just saying, and based on what Sergio said, we also identified different issues in this sort of conflict between urban and rural areas, and we believe we need a strong presence of the state here. And the Ministry of Agriculture from Córdoba has been of great help because they had been involved in good practices, and we believed it was conflict resolution, but having this more of a comprehensive approach of what we call sustainable production, and also to work from other departments, other agents through the agricultural good practices and in cattle raising. We also have an agency which is called Territorial Development to work on sustainable production of foods in the urban areas. And in the last wheat season, we did an extensive experience, over 120 hectares of different farmers of Santa Fe province that were affected by some of the regulations. And we created a proposal, and we put together, we got 300 tons. We had the application of biological products, and this experience paves the way for an interesting experience. And the demand now is greater in order to build a niche, particularly to sell these products in large cities. We worked with the FENCOFE, one of the main cooperatives in Santa Fe, and particularly we understand that this is a comprehensive approach, since we've been working a lot on the program with communities, with local governments, to manage soil based on the two laws we have, the two legislations we have, and together with other institutions such as RENAR, particularly insurance of workers. And what is interesting, to create productive public policies with the institutions, not as a program that is imposed by the state, the provincial government, but a program that is developed with universities, with INTA, with SENASA, and many other institutions that have to do with the production network of the province, and to come up with this comprehensive approach. And the truth is that results have been very positive, especially because farmers and local authorities notice that the state is there, the province is there, the government is there, and so sustainable production, we see that sustainable production is possible, that is moving toward a more efficient type of agriculture is possible, type of farming is possible, with contribution of other crops, the introduction of other crops. And I think that the farming, leaving our lands, for example, 6 months with no production is not a good practice. So bringing in, for example, winter crops during those months, and that is the contribution we as states can make. And I think that the wheat chain here plays a key role. Thank you, Juan Manuel. Your ideas are being very clear. And we could probably go back to the topic of this panel, which is institutional innovation. When we speak about innovation, we may refer to products or launching new products to the market, but when we talk about institutional innovation, then it sounds very different. It probably means doing things in a new way, and to develop among 3 provinces, to develop regional policies is very important. But the big question is, how did you come to this agreement? Since there are different political parties and political differences, so could you please? Normality should be that in a democratic system, people choose their presidents or governors or mayors. Decisions. But in our case, everything came up so natural. Maybe it's because we as provinces are built on, a culture that aims at respecting differences, and so, or probably it may be due to the fact that the production system required so. So we sort of naturally, Buenos Aires, Córdoba, Santa Fe can work together, and together with the national government. And we have differences, and I think that the good thing is that we can actually contribute make contributions through our differences. But I think that this shows this Congress is a true example of this. Oftentimes, people ask us how we were able to do this. Well, and I tell them that we just were able to make this private-public agreement, but also adding that this is not a Congress from Córdoba, but Argentina. We were all convinced that in Argentina we needed to have the first international Congress on wheat, and we did so. We had visitors from 17 countries. But I insist, this is an example of how objectives can be achieved when we work together. And today, here was such a friendly environment, because oftentimes outside it's a different, but here, the whole production sector was so happy, enthusiastic, and full of expectations. And I think that the example of Santa Fe, Buenos Aires, and Córdoba is an example that should be looked at and replicated. And society is demanding this. Society wants us to agree to address the issues we have in Argentina. So what we're doing with Alicia, Leo, and the Department of Agro-Industry, Luis Miguel, this is the way, and we have to protect it no matter the consequences. Juan Manuel, what other things are you planning to developing, at a regional level? Have you identified maybe a topic or an issue to work on? Can you tell us a little about what is coming? Well, as Sergio was saying, the demand by society, this public-private sector is coming together, is an important issue. And I think that in this sense we've made good progress as a central region, because farmers from Córdoba, Buenos Aires, and Santa Fe, and farmers from other provinces too, they have the same characteristics. They coexist in a in basins which are relatively similar. And in this regard, we have to try to break down political barriers. And I think this is the also institutional innovation. We from Santa Fe, we are interested in that, and with Córdoba particularly, we signed last year, we signed a harmonization agreement, I mean to harmonize spraying and fertilizer machinery. So by having just an approval in one of the provinces, then the other provinces could also use this machinery, and the same for operators. These are simple, seem to be simple things, but you know, they require meetings and agreements. But we understand that production must devote most of the time to producing, and we shouldn't actually create barriers as a state or provincial government. And so that's the way, I mean, that's a way forward to continue with these kinds of agreements, to harmonize legislations, and to develop a production border that extends the provincial jurisdictions or borders. And I think that states, provinces should also innovate, just like many other private companies are doing in different production sectors. And as a state, we believe that's the way to go. And we're working together with our ministers and the political administrations and staff of all the ministries. Thank you, Juan Manuel.